And we're live. Up next. What up?
What up, though? What up?
We're back.
We're back, man. We're back.
Millie Robinson. Mia, what's going on?
I can't do it. Look, I be trying. Look, I feel like I'm directing the choir. Like I can't do it, dog.
I can't do the new one that just came out. the wall. I can't. Thank you so much for doing this round 2.
Man, thank you.
People wanted you back, so here we are. We're delivering. It's 8:30.
They want, child. They just bored, child. They don't know what they want, dog.
we're quarantined, and everybody's like, I just need something to watch. I just need something to do. No, I really think it's been the dialogue. I really think people are enjoying reflecting and hearing other voices. And I think this is really cool because it's voices that we really don't get to hear or we've never heard before. And so thank you again for coming on. And for those of you who are tuning in, if you didn't get a chance to clock in earlier, you're in for a treat tonight. I would advise you after this one to go back and watch the first one because it was that good. Mia, tell people who you are and give them a recap of what we discussed earlier.
Man, well, I was thinking earlier today, I said, who am I? I'm the girl that eats a hot dog out of her hand with no bun. Like, listen, I don't need all the fluff and the frills. That's literally who I am. You know, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I love him with all my heart. I try to live my life according to what we believe concerning him. And I try to be a family person. I'm an elder at my church. I am an assistant and official secretary of an upcoming campaign that we'll talk about later. But I just think overall, man, I'm Mia from the block, Mama Mia. That's what they used to call me back in March. Girl, I'm the big girl that was a cheerleader. They was like, I remember, girl, my grandfather was like, you too fat to be a cheerleader. Hurt my feelings, right? And I was like, oh yeah. So I went outside in the yard and taught myself how to do a flip and the splits. After that, they called me Mama Mia. That's who I am. Don't tell me what I can't do. Let me show you what I can do.
You heard it here, folks. Up next, get a grip. What are you holding on to? Give a little bit about what we discussed earlier. I know it was a lot, but for people who are tuning in, they don't understand why we did a part 2 tonight. Talk about a recap or kind of give your perspective on what was discussed. It was a lot.
Yeah, it was. What we talked about earlier was we were talking about getting a grip. And for me, is a lot of times we're holding on to things that, first of all, are damaging and detrimental to our character because it's what we've been handed. It's what we've been taught. It's what we grew up having. It's our generational rite of passage. And so we've been holding on to things, but these things don't necessarily do us well in these times. And so we got to know what we're gripping onto. My foundation is the word of God. If I don't grip that dog, I'm out. Like, for real, I'm gonna be out here in these streets, looking crazy, dog. But I think that part of the problem, especially in our community, is we have so many things that we grip onto, and we forget that we were created, wonderfully and fearfully created. And so if we don't remember those things, we'll allow other people to create a narrative about us or create characterization about us, and we'll own that. And that's illegal because that is not who we are, and that's not who we've been called to be.
Absolutely. So, you talked about acknowledging some people. I guess I should back up and say, they quoted earlier, acknowledging one another, not sugarcoating our actions or feelings. And then you responded with really talking about how we need to go back to those things foundationally within us in order to move forward. What did you mean by that?
So just in that first little anecdote that I just told you, with my grandfather, he was like the dad in my life, because my dad wasn't around when I was growing up. He was around, but he wasn't around. And so my mom died when I was 15, and but they always lived 2 doors from me. So in that moment, they encouraged me. They allowed me to grow and thrive. But there was something that was in them that became a part of my regimen, or my mantra, let me say. And so when he told me, when I wanted to go out for cheerleading, my grandfather told me I was too fat to be a cheerleader. I could wear that and say, I better not ever try nothing like that. Or I could say, I don't believe that about myself. And let me at least see. And as many times as I hurt my ankle, as many times as I hurt my wrist, as many times, baby, as I was stretching them thigh muscles, girl, them thighs was always rubbing together. They were always like this. You hear me? But I had to get them suckers apart to do the splits, so that when I auditioned, or when I tried out, that I would have the opportunity to be that. I think those are the things that we have to shatter in order for us to move forward. We have to remember who we are always. You know what I'm saying? Even in the face of who our parents in that moment don't believe we are. And it's not because they don't love us. It's not because they don't believe in us, but because it's been a stereotype perpetuated over generations. It's just, this don't look like you could do this. So let me not even push you in that direction. So we have to build a foundation, first of all, on Christ. If you ain't got, he said, we sing the song, my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. So my hope is built on something. And if it ain't him, everything else is going to fall through the cracks. So we have to begin to build across this country, and especially in our community. We have to begin to say to each other, girl, I believe you can. What can I do to help? Hey, brother, I believe you can. What can I do to help?
That's some good stuff. For those of y'all tuning in, part 2, get a grip. What are you holding on to? What are we holding on to, and why do we need to get a grip?
Listen, what are we holding on to? This right here, TikToks. No, I'm just playing. I'm playing. I think that we, as a community, as African Americans, I think we hold on to what we should have instead of what we could have. So our conversation is always about who's keeping us down. Well, I should do this by now. They should, like, if they would only let me, I would have. Who is they? Because when we band together, dog, we are unstoppable. But that's the problem. We do not band together. And that was a conversation that we had earlier. We're so afraid that somebody is going to get ahead. And I told a friend of mine earlier today, Kiona, it was funny. She's like a sister to me. She was frustrated, but I told her, I said, I had to write it down, child. I helped myself. I said, we cannot be immature while waiting on someone to be mature. So our immaturity makes us, we are like, well, if they don't, because they didn't, listen, let me be mature and wait on you to get there. I can't be immature though while you immature. Now it's just 2 kids yelling. That's stupid. And I just don't have the energy or the time for it. You know what I'm saying? So if we don't compliment one another and build each other's strengths, and watch this, cover each other's weaknesses, instead of exposing each other's weaknesses, we will never be unified as a community.
We talked about that earlier. Someone in the comments said acknowledging one another and not sugarcoating our actions or feelings. When we see each other in those spaces, being present, not having the mindset of that's going to take something away from me, but obviously deposit into you, which is ultimately what we need to be doing anyway.
What I look like saying to you, I think that's stupid. What I look like saying to you, I don't think you should, I don't really think you should do that. What that look like? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you got in you. I don't know what you have in you. And our problem is because we don't see it in ourselves, we feel like others don't have it either. Stop measuring everybody. Stop measuring everybody against yourself. You know what I'm saying? We do it more than anybody. We measure ourselves against ourselves instead of banding together and saying, how can we be greater together? Instead of I'm a great this by myself. And you got to get yours, girl. I got mine. Get yours, brother. You got to get yours because I worked hard for this. Well, I worked hard so you wouldn't have to work hard. This is the reason because this is my lane. Listen, watch this. If I'm a great Uber driver and you are a great bicycle rider, why would I try to make you be somebody that you're not, but not offer what I have? That's our problem. We do not offer what we have because we want everybody to say, oh, look at them as the Uber driver. And then it don't take nothing away from you as the bicycle rider. But if we put our resources together, listen, in the spots that the car can't get in, guess what? We can get that bike on though. You know, but we don't look at things like, child, I'm just sipping lemonade tonight.
I was on another live for the Porterhouse KC, and a good friend, Davin, made a comment and said, Kansas City is relationship driven. We have to create space for eternal relationship building. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think
the premises around the conversation was just cliquish, siloed, really, like to your point, having spaces that need to be fulfilled. People need unity. We need to unify on all fronts. We sing together, but we're not together. So forth and so forth.
So let me ask you something to that point. Let me ask you something. So if you have a function and I don't attend, do you write me off because I didn't attend your function?
No.
Do you feel like I didn't support you because I didn't attend your function?
No.
But that's what happened.
How I think. People got kids. People got lives. Stuff happens.
We don't think about that, dog. We don't think about that, Kiona, on a regular basis. We just automatically discount or we write people off because in the moment of our arrival, the people that we wanted to have around, child, watch this. The people that we wanted to have around, because I just saw something, the people that we wanted to have around don't show up. And so we feel like we failed. Or we feel like, oh, they haters. But what if God was opening a door for you to reach somebody that you would have never reached? And so we're still looking for our same crowd of people to be like, oh, good job. But hey, dog, they can't always be there. And why would you always want them there? Don't you want to expand your territory? You know, I was thinking today, we always talking about enlarge my territory, Lord. Well, he just did with this social media platform. Hey, dog. You know, Lord, if you would just enlarge the prayer Jabez, baby, we was sending books to each other. We was writing it on our chest. Dog, we was like, I got a Jabez cup. You hear me? But at the end of the day, if you don't want him to enlarge your territory, don't ask for it. But if you do, then you got to let him work it out in a way that you might not see. So stop looking for your usual suspects because for real, your friends should be doing the same thing that you're doing in their own, like creating silos, so we can all be saying the same thing together. Ultimately, that's what Christianity is. Everybody don't go to the same church. Why? Because we can't all reach the same group of people. Exactly. So stop trying to make everybody come to your church. Just be the church when you ain't in the building. How about that? Look, I just got irritated. Girl, if I was a smoker, I'd take this pen and smoke it. I don't smoke.
Y'all, up next with Mia Ramsey. For those of y'all who are just tuning in, welcome. Part 2. We're like 15 minutes into this conversation, so this is going to be a great conversation. We haven't even hit half of what we're going to talk about.
Yes, Jesus.
For those of y'all who are tuning in, we're recapping earlier. We have some people that are watching that tuned in at 11 o'clock this morning when I was very honored to have Mia with me. We agreed to do part 2. And so to kind of go back into our conversation, we started off kind of talking about during this time, everyone is inconvenienced. Social distancing has prohibited us from meeting with friends, our normal routines. So a lot of things are becoming exposed where we are. But in this process, a lot of people are having to self-reflect on who they are. And so we talked about earlier that now it's a matter of heart to heart. And whoever you are, ultimately, if you're great, the things that you do will become great. Can you elaborate on that?
Listen, Ryan killed us last night with that girl. That boy was like blazing. You hear me? And I was like, boy, you better say that. Like, it's just a whole lot of stuff you want to type in and be like, yeah, oh my God. But that is the key to everything. We are so quick to blame everybody for what we are not doing, have not done. And I'm not saying that there aren't some systematic forces in place that have recessed our growth. I'm not saying that they're not. But I think that when you were talking about self-reflection, see, everybody looking for something to do because I'm spending time with myself and I don't like myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I think I'm sick of me. I am sick of me. So we like, oh, what y'all doing? Look, I just skip quarantine. I'm just gonna go on outside. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, I think that when we spend time in quarantine, I don't know if it was my pastor or another pastor said, we were always quarantined when God set us apart. When you got called, you got set apart. So you were already in quarantine. So the idea is when you are set apart, there is nobody in that space except you and the Lord. And when it's time to think about certain things, I've learned so much about myself. I've learned that there are things that I don't like. I learned that there are times that I don't want to die in a situation because I want to be the one. I want to be the right one. Or there are times that it's okay to not know everything. You know what I'm saying? How much greater am I when I come out of this situation to be able to be a better listener? Because I realized in quarantine that I wasn't, the person that knew everything in the room. That's when we come out of this mud, we have to be a greater us so that we can create a greater community. But if we are not greater, if we are still, if we are still the same person that went in, coming out, oh dog, we in trouble.
We in deep trouble. You made the connection to COVID-19 that Black people, we've always been in a state of COVID-19 and social distancing. Can you elaborate on that as well? I don't want to give away your special juices.
Man, you got to help me remember, girl. Sometimes I'll just be talking.
No, it's okay. We talked about staying woke. And so people go around and we brag about, things that are in the community and stay woke. And you're like, wake up.
I hate that. Like, it's cute.
Talk about that. Talk about the premises of that and go into why that is just, it's tiring.
I'm going to tell you why it's tiring for me, because we say it cliche and we think it's so dope. Stay woke, hey, bro. Stay woke. Hey, girl, stay woke. What am I staying woke to? Because at the beginning of it, I was never awoke. I never woke up to the fact that I have buying power. I never woke up to the fact that I'm supposed to be the lender and not the borrower. I was not awakened to the fact that my education did not give me a place of measurement, but my experience did. I was not awake to that. And so we talking about stay woke. We always talking about the man, stay woke. They trying to no, but for real, can't nobody do nothing to you that you don't allow to be done. And when we band together, I'm telling you, it's some stuff that I want to say, but I don't want to offend nobody. But I will say this: if your lack, boy, listen to me, Kiona. If our lack of presence elected somebody, what could our show up do? What? We didn't show up and elected somebody. Do you know how powerful we would be if we showed up?
Yeah.
Girl, listen, let me take a drink of my lemonade on that. Oh my God.
We get some good comments. We get some real good stuff coming in. It's about to start getting heated. If you tuning in, start tagging people. Host some watch parties. But to your point, I think that we never look at our power and what we possess within ourselves, and particularly within our community. And to your point, if we didn't even try to register to vote, if we didn't even try to go to the polls, Imagine what we can do if we collectively was on one agenda to do those things, that it will expose a bigger impact for the greater good of not just the community, but across states and across other cities.
Man, check this out. My pastor, Bishop Morrison, is running for governor of the state of Missouri. Shout out to Eric Morrison and the campaign team. Black man running for governor. So he was asked to be part of a voter registration drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sam, what's up, brother? He was asked to be part of a voter registration drive. He and another young man collaborated. And let me tell you where the voter registration drive was. At the Young Jeezy concert, dog. At what's the Uptown Theater, at the Uptown Theater. And I was like, what? Hey, dog, I ain't finna go up in there. What? Dude was like, hey, I'm telling you, not my pastor, but the guy, he said, listen, a lot of these brothers and sisters just don't have people that come and approach them about this stuff. Just come. When I tell you, I think they said it was like over 500 people that registered that night, dog. Mm-hmm. But what happened was one of the young ladies working in the campaign highlighted where they were supposed to, fill in. Because if you look at a sheet, it looks real intimidating.
It really does.
Oh my God, what I gotta, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But when you show them 5 or 6 areas, all you gotta do is put your name, your address, what county you live in, whatever. Mm-hmm. Girl, that was one of the easiest voter registration drives we ever had. But again, we got to be present. Don't talk to me. I told everybody, I don't want to hear nothing in November, dog. I don't want to hear nothing. If you don't show up, I don't want to hear nothing. You have no vote. You have no vote. See, that's what I'm talking about. No, you what I'm talking about, because you didn't show up. You didn't show up, dog. I can't. I'm over this. Like, black folks are good about complaining. We're good about complaining, but we don't want to walk out nothing. It don't take nothing to show up. That's in our households. That's in our churches. That's in our community. That's on these at these polls. Just show up. Our presence speaks volumes because of what we carry. Generations of people built this country. When we show up, everything is subjected to us because of the God in us. He said every knee gonna bow, dog. So at the end of the day, if we don't show up with what we have in us, and the generations of fortitude, the generations of education, the generations of non-education, but a whole lot of prayer, we are not gonna make a difference in this country. But don't talk about stay woke if you didn't wake up and get in them voting lines. That's all I'm trying to tell you. As I said, my lemonade.
Hey, everybody, welcome in to Up Next. We had Mia on earlier this morning at 11 o'clock, and we got a high demand to do a part 2. And so we did a pivot, and here we are tonight. And the title of this is Get a Grip. What are you
Get a grip?
Yeah, get a grip. One quote that was really powerful that you said earlier that I really don't want to skip over, that I want other people that are tuning in tonight to allow you the opportunity to talk about it. You said, don't discount my experience because I don't have your education. Education is important. It's important. But we tend to dismantle people and break them down because we don't have it. I think a lot of people now in our society are realizing that the value of not just what I have on a piece of paper is something that can bring, expertise or contribute to the cause. It's more now about who you are outside of that experience and what your credentials have to say on paper.
Yeah.
Why do we do that to each other? And what does that look like today?
So I'm going to ask you like I asked you earlier. Can I just be real transparent?
Yeah, we need to be real transparent.
All right, so check this out. Part of we hold such a high regard in education, and we should. Mm-hmm. But we hold lesser regard for what I've been through. So watch this. You could have a degree in a counseling with an emphasis in post-traumatic stress disorder and never have experienced trauma. But I could tell you that when my mom died in a car accident when I was 15 was trauma to me. And so my get up after that becomes part of my experience, right? So watch this. If you discount what I've done because you're doing textbook conversation with me, you miss the authenticity of what you learned. But if we come together with your knowledge and my experience and build a counseling center, how much greater are we together? But in our communities, I don't want to keep saying in our communities across this country, we look at folks that have degrees and we discount ourselves because everybody else holds that to such a high regard, but it does not take away who I am. You cannot measure my experience because I didn't have your education.
We talked about that earlier, that everyone in the country that is literally on the front lines during this academic was deemed non-essential. Now they're essential.
Now y'all leaving water bottles out on the porch for your mailman and for the sanitation workers. You clapping every time the healthcare workers walk in, but you be like, oh, they better get me in for my appointment. Oh, they talking about such and such. Oh, we was clowning them. Now we depending on them. Because watch this, even when there are press conferences, don't nobody care what nobody else is saying until the doctors get up there. Because your position matters not. I said it earlier. When God stopped everything, he showed us who we really are in these moments. And for real, what we regard as great, the greatest of them look like the least of us because they are going nuts right now. But I swear, girl, so let me just, Brandon Ellington, Councilman Brandon Ellington and Bishop Morrison, my pastor, they collaborated today. They did it yesterday with Bishop Talbert. They were on Paseo at Victorious Life. Today they were at Kingdom Word. Girl, the line was, our church is at 33rd and Cypress. The line was all the way to 39th and Cypress, right?
It's crazy.
And so it was crazy, but it was so nobody like, oh my God, hurry up. Wasn't nobody tripping. Everybody was cool. People got just loads and loads of food, but it was because two men came together and said, listen, let's feed a community. Him and another man got together and said, let's feed a community. When we come together and say, let's do something together, you get 6 blocks of support. But when it's one person doing something, you only getting a block and a half. So what should we really do? What should we really do? And if we wait on those that are in a position of educational resource to give us this, they don't have our experience. Listen, if you didn't grow up in the hood, you don't understand what it means. Why is everybody going crazy? Why are the people that have money going crazy? Because you don't live like this. We live like this every day, so it don't matter to us. You're like, I ain't tripping on it. I'm telling you, in our community, dog, it ain't nothing to be like, what we got in the refrigerator? Oh, you said it's okay. We got some cheese. How much cheese? Oh, it's some tuna in there. Hey, where them noodles at? We got the spaghetti noodles. Break them up. Put that tuna in there with that cheese. Get that little milk. And we about to have tuna casserole. Dog, that's what we do. But everybody else that has not had this experience, but you had your education, don't know how to live right here. And to you.
And we talked about, I'm sorry, everybody. I can't keep it in because it's just, I'm tickled till I can't laugh anymore. We talked about earlier inequities. That was a big pivot in the earlier live stream because we mentioned, to your example, Happy Foods. I think earlier they, set out toilet paper. I think I wrote down, and I don't want to get it wrong. It was $17.50. The
Sunfresh on Blue Parkway.
Okay, Blue Parkway, but I can drive like heading south, and toilet paper is
Miss Brown posted because she had just been to Sunfresh, and she had said that I don't remember if it was toilet tissue. Was it the toilet tissue? It was something.
Yeah, it was toilet paper.
Yeah, $17. $17. Go ahead.
I bring that up to say the inequities that everyone, to your point, everyone is in this shocking, like, oh my God, not all of us, some of us. I'm not saying everyone, but some of us are like, oh my God, this stuff is crazy. What's happening? And what most people have been experiencing, we've been dealing with it for forever. And so have these inequities always been here? What do people need to understand? What are they not getting?
Yeah, word on the curb is that this has always been. And we've been putting it out on the curb. But if you don't pay attention, see, it's different. Lord help me, Jesus. It's different when you become invested in this area. So what we're seeing is some investments in our area. Okay. So we see some homes being purchased. We see some land being purchased.
We're
not
seeing,
by us.
Yeah. We're seeing some gentrification happening.
Okay, well, you come and say the word. I was just trying to be palatable tonight.
No. Up next, Mia Ramsey. Yeah, this is where it's at.
But I'm saying they come in and they purchase land that we cannot afford to purchase. And now COVID-19 hits, coronavirus hits. And so now I have to go to the local grocery store in my new neighborhood. Well, my new neighborhood is off of 39th and Paseo. So, what's the closest grocery store? Oh, let me go to Sunfresh on 31st Street. I don't necessarily have to go to Westport. Let me go to the new grocery store. It's beautiful. I go up there and I look at foil that's $12.59. I don't understand. Oh my God, has it always been these prices? Yes, it has. And welcome to the jungle. Because you've been living in Overland Park. You've been living in Hyde Park. Hyde. You've been living in these different areas. And what's unfortunate, though, this is what really upsets me, though, because it doesn't take a lot. We can talk about what's going on, but we need to talk about solutions. It doesn't take a lot, but it takes us saying something. The only reason that a Sunfresh, the only reason that a Happy Foods, the only reason that these stores are able to do what they do is because we don't say nothing. And then if we do say something, we don't follow up to make sure it's been changed. I don't know. Now, I know you didn't grow up watching Good Times, but I know you've seen episodes of Good Times.
My grandma watched it all the time. So
okay. Yeah. So there was this episode. Let me see. Derrell. What was the grocery store in Good Times? Morgan's Mark. What is it? Borgans. Girl, look, I got to get it right, Kiana.
School days. Don't forget about school days. We got to draw that acknowledgement.
Oh, I will. Okay. Definitely. But Borgans Market, this was an episode of Good Times. They were selling meat. And so, yep. Come on, Bishop. Yeah, that's my pastor right there. It's always been pre-existing conditions. Don't let me forget to say something about pre-existing conditions, Kiana. But Borgans Market, in this episode of Good Times, they were selling meat. So Florida and them went and got this meat. And so they were all excited. They had made this beautiful meal that night. I think it was like a rump roast or something. Girl, they laid it out. Baby, they only had one bathroom and it was 1,000 of them in that little apartment. Baby, that food tore them up. So they went back to the market and said, hey, this is bad meat. Stop selling this meat to us. And they was like, no, the meat is fine and woo. And it was a white man that owned it, but it was a black man. Watch this. that was the middleman to keep the black man at bay. Okay, so he was the manager of the black people because it was the black man's market, not owned by the black man. Okay, so anyway, so he was like, yeah, it's good meat, and they was like, no. So they went back and forth. This is what Florida and James did. They had argued with him, they left. They went back and fixed him a meal and said, we just want to say thank you for all of your help. We appreciate everything that you did. And he was like, oh, thank you. He starts digging in. And they was like, oh, he said, this is good. They were like, yeah, it's from your market. Baby, he tried to throw up that food. He tried to throw it in the trash. But it was, here's a taste of what you've given us.
Yeah.
Until they have a taste of what they are giving us, then it doesn't exist. Being who we are in our neighborhoods has always existed. But until they become part of the narrative, they don't understand the impact that it has. COVID-19 said that the most susceptible people are African Americans. Why? I remember texting my pastor one night. I said, being black is a pre-existing condition. It ain't got nothing to do with blood pressure. It ain't got nothing to do with diabetes. It has everything to do with being black. How is it that we are one of the smallest minorities in the country, but with the greatest number of diseases, the greatest number of financial disparities? How is that? How is that when we only make up a small portion of this country, dog? It don't make sense. It does not make sense. So when we look at pre-existing COVID-19 issues, being black has always been an issue because we don't have fresh markets. Brandon and Bishop today, baby, when I tell you they have fresh food out there, that was a blessing. You know, they have fruit trays, vegetable trays. Kiona, do you know if you went to get a vegetable tray from the store right now, you about to pay anywhere between $12 and $14. Well, if I'm going to choose between some vegetables and some meat for my family, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to choose the meat for my family.
Yeah.
Why is that? But if I go to Price Chopper or if I go to Hen House, what? If I go to the store downtown, the greens are so tall, they just stand so tall. You come to the hood, the greens look like this. And they cost a lot more.
So, and during this time, like you talked about, it's a lot being exposed. A lot is happening. Is no question. What should people's pivot be during this time? We talked about earlier. It's a heart to heart. If you remember that now, like right now, you've already had to been invested in being good, doing good, thinking good. What are some of those things that you want to relate tonight?
I wanna refer back to something. Stop being fearful of each other, because we have to talk to one another to band together. Our pivot is together, better together. I don't care who said it before. I don't care. Making America great again. My pastor always says this. No, we got to make America. We can't make something great again when it was never really made. So if we don't come together as a group, if we don't come together as a body of people and love one another and see what the needs of each other are, we still gonna be, after COVID-19, it's gonna be a COVID-20, COVID-21, COVID-22, and we still gonna have pre-existing conditions. You hear me today? I'm saying, how many more COVIDs we need? Don't. I'm telling you.
So
you got too many viruses.
And I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm laughing because it's like, do we need a COVID-20?
I'm saying.
No, we don't.
Why do you want to keep? Why do we perpetuate a virus? The virus is within us if we don't straighten up. You understand what I'm saying? So the pivot is, how do we come together with our resources and say, hey, I got this. I got this. I got this. Okay. Hey, what can we do to help one another? We talked earlier about how we're so afraid to embrace one another's strengths because it makes us look like we weak. That's stupid.
Yeah.
We
also talked about partnerships. We talked about, we kind of pivoted into a lot of things earlier, and I'm sorry for those who are jumping around. This is kind of a freestyle tonight. We also talked about being able to see each other, acknowledge one another in those spaces, not being territorial over certain things and people and resources, and how that prohibits us from moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
You were getting right into it, but it was a lot.
Who perpetuated that though? Who perpetuated that stereotype that you had to be the only one to do this? Mm-hmm. Who perpetuated that? See, if we go back to slavery, you got a house slave and you got the field slave. Mm-hmm. And so the field slave felt like the house slave had it better. And so that perpetuates over time because you have a greater level of service because you're in the house. Does that lessen what I do? Because if I don't do what I do in the field, you ain't gonna have nothing in the house. But if we don't look at that like that, because we compare ourselves, you said, okay, let's go back to School Days.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Spike Lee films. Mm-hmm. But it was when Lawrence Fishburne at the end was like, wake up! It was because a stereotype had been perpetuated.
Yeah.
Within our culture. If you light skin, long hair, you just a jigaboo because you was dark and kinky hair. Now everybody want to be natural. You understand what I'm saying? Because mm-hmm. we don't embrace one another. We don't compliment each other. We're so afraid that if you have something greater than me, then it makes me look weaker. It does not. It does not. Because if you're great, Kiona, if you're great at clapping and I'm great at stomping, we can both make some noise.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But what do you do with the person that doesn't have hands? Yeah. The person that doesn't have hands learns how to use his feet, mm-hmm. learns how to use everything around him to get around. But how much greater would the person be if he had somebody else that had a set of hands? We cut off what's that boy? Parliament, Funkadelics. That boy said, why cut your nose to spite your face? That's what we do. That's what we do as a community. We are forever discounting something else so we can look better, but it does not help us. Mm-hmm. So what we have to do as a people, what we have to do as a community is start saying, just start with this. Just start with something this simple. Hey, how you doing? Can we just do that much? Can we just say, hey, brother, I see you. Mm-hmm. Hey, girl, I see you. Can we just do that much? Mm-hmm. We're so busy exposing each other and exposing our weaknesses. But guess what? When we expose it to each other, guess who else sees it? Other people. Uh-huh. That's why they come into our communities and mm-hmm. they build hair care salons. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Here's supply salons. They have nail salons because uh-huh. they see us discounting one another. So they say, oh, I tell you what, I know how to fix this. I'll come in and undercut. We should never be able to go to somebody other than us. We got 1,000 nail techs. My sister's a cold nail tech. You hear me? I got sisters that are cold nail techs, sisters that are cold hairdressers, barbers out in this month. The Kansas City Choice Awards is coming out. Yeah. That whole list right there, dog.
Yeah.
We should always be able, but what we do, girl, I ain't fooling with these fools in the city. I'm going to Overland Park. And that's why they got beautiful streets. And why you complaining about 39th Street having holes and then you mad and want to complain to the city. But you took your dollar outside of your community. Mm-hmm. Cheers to you.
This is too much. I cannot deal with you tonight.
Girl, the later you get, the sleepier I get.
Can we talk about also releasing, and then we'll talk about you said don't remind me to talk about pre-existing conditions.
I already said that part.
Oh, okay. I wanted to make sure you got that. Yeah. So we acknowledge, things within us that we continue to hold on, to keep, to not acknowledge, to not give other people their due right. Hoarding resources, whatever that does. But let's talk about the flip side of that. So in a perfect world, if we come together, we do all these great things. What is on the other side of that once we make that pivot to have an open mind? Like you say, hi, how you doing?
What comes with that is security in who we are, and also economic strength. Because when we open our minds to the possibilities of what could be with one another, not apart from one another, then we find strength in each other. If multi-million-dollar organizations can get started with a Steve Jobs and the other man, Black Wall Street. If Steve Jobs and the other man that don't nobody ever remember, if those two could start a technology company, how much greater should we be able to start things together? They set this whole world, not country, whole world in a tailspin because of what they were able to accomplish. It wasn't that they did it alone, but they had to come together at some point with each one of them strengths, where somebody is strength, the other one, covers the weak. We have to make sure that we are able to cover one another. I sent you the article about Three Trails Salvation Army, and they said they were opening up their facility because ain't nobody renting that right now, dog. So they opened up their facility to the homeless. If I have something and I open myself up and I say, whatever I have, you are welcome to. What happens? And I don't care who you are, black, white, brown, green, purple, you still have to use wisdom, because not everybody is going to take care of your stuff. But if we stop closing ourselves off to what we think somebody wants from us and just give, listen, the law of reciprocity works. You can call it the law of reciprocity. You can call it karma. You can call it what goes around comes around. I don't care what you call it. But in the Bible, it's called sowing and reaping. You will never, ever outgive God. And the more you give, the more you'll get back. And so if we continue to give amongst ourselves with a hello, see, me saying hello to you gives up. I have to give up something to say hello to you. What is it that I'm giving up? I have to give up my insecurity about who I think you are and who I think I am to you. I'm going to say it again. I have to give up who I think you are and who I think I am to you. Because if I look at you as my enemy, and then I think you looking at me as the enemy, then I'll never open my mouth. But if we say hello to one another, that opens up dialogue for all of us to be able to say, hey, what's up? What you doing out here? What you standing like? I talk to everybody, child. I be like, what you doing out here? What you doing? You swear, you know what I'm saying? And I find out some guy was like, oh yeah, I was just painting some stuff. Oh, you an artist? Listen, we have to talk to one another, because there are wells of resources in us.
For sure.
But we so scared, girl. We so scared that somebody gonna take my idea. It wasn't your idea in the beginning. We ain't that smart, dog.
Someone made a comment. Anthony said too many African American
Don't read his. He ain't talking about nothing. No, I'm just playing. Go ahead.
Too many African American people say I made my money and I can spend it where I want to. So the me mentality. I don't have to reach back and invest.
Yeah, but that's illegal. That's illegal, because we'll look back on the community that we left and say, that's messed up. Look at them. When we did nothing to invest in it. Don't talk about what everybody's doing and you made no point to invest in it. Don't say, I hate the hood. Why? You came from the hood. So why you hate it now? You didn't hate it when you was able to run around, sit on the porch, lick bomb pops, ride your skateboard. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't tripping on it then. Why is it not good now? Because we have allowed things to infiltrate it and we didn't take care of it. You wouldn't let nobody mistreat your child. So why would you let somebody mistreat where you grew up?
That's true. That's true. Owning it. Ownership.
Own it. Own it.
Yeah.
Man, we have to show up. We are good about complaining, but we don't want to show up. Don't tell me what's wrong with it. Show me what's right with it and then invest in it. Girl, I don't want to tell you where I live, but know that I live in the hood. Know that I live in the hood. Listen, sirens all day.
Yeah.
Sirens all day. Gunshot, pop, pop, pop. Listen, my kids just be walking around. Ain't nobody ducking no more. You know what I mean? Because it's the norm.
It's normal.
It's the norm. But it don't mean that in the middle of the night, I don't walk to my front door and I speak prayers over this neighborhood. Yeah. I pray for my elderly neighbor next door that's 80 something that still do the splits. Girl, she off the chain. What? She was like, listen, let me show you what I can still do. Hold up. Anyway, I digress. But I'm just saying, if you don't speak into the atmosphere, change does not happen.
For sure.
And then you got to make change happen. Why is it trash at the end of your driveway? I didn't put it there. It don't matter. Pick it up. Why is it okay? The trash people didn't come. Well, I'm just gonna go and dump it down the street. Why would you dump it down here? You don't take your trash and dump it on 135th and Metcalf, but you'll dump it on Prospect. And they'd be like, they nasty down here. You sure right, because you littered all up and down Prospect. Just stop playing.
I can't no more. We're just like right at an hour, and I want to give time for questions, if any. I know people are on here, and so
come on and ask some questions, y'all.
Yeah, if y'all have any questions, tap in. While they're coming in, I wanted you to kind of one last thing, talking about what's on the other side of this pivot once this COVID-19 kind of lifts, and in a perfect world, what Kansas City should be doing to adjust, because it's not necessarily returning to our normal; it's our new normal that's in front of us.
There are certain things that you cannot put back in the bag when they come out of a bag, because the bag is air sealed tight, and so when you take stuff out of the bag, if you try to stuff the stuff back in the bag, it just does not fit. We cannot go back into our homes the way that we went in February, the beginning of March. We cannot. We've seen too much. We know too much. I hate the phrase, when you know better, you do better.
Why do you hate that phrase?
Because that's a lie. When you know better, you do better. No, we know a lot of things to do better, and we still don't. We know don't litter, and we still do. We know smoking ages you and it corrupts your body, but we still do. So don't say if you know better, you do better. That's a lie. When you know better and you choose better, then you do better. We have to make a choice. And our choice, when we come out of this COVID-19, child, if we ever come out, if we ever come out this mug, but if we ever come out, we have to come out with the idea of, I think I said it earlier, it's 3 P's. First of all, we got to be praying.
Why?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, you cannot put new wine in old wineskin. That's the scripture. You cannot put new wine in old wineskin. Why? Because it'll bust. It cannot handle the new stuff. So if we don't come out of this with prayer, with a love for people, and with a proprietary knowledge of things that we need to do to fortify our communities, we might as well have stayed in the house and put quarantine on our doors. I'm just trying to tell you, dog.
I'm so tickled today. I don't know what's going on.
I'm just saying, honestly, because prayer is the thing that centers us. It's the thing that lets us commune with God, and more importantly, for him to commune with us. He will tell you who you are if you're quiet enough. We are not the bomb. We think we are the bomb, and he'd be like, let me show you who you really are. And you'd be like, oh, let me die today. let me just bring my whole self down, because I really thought I was balling. God will show you who you are in prayer. And then it helps you to see other people and not be so judgmental about what everybody else ain't doing. If you ain't judged yourself. And then when we come out of that, if we make sure that we are a lover of people, we got to look at and be able to say to each other, hey, how you doing? That don't cost us nothing. Yeah. And it don't take nothing away from us to do it.
Sam said, ouch.
Sam, what's up? Boy, that's one of the coldest photographers in the land. You hear me? That boy is filming everybody, getting everybody. Joe Biden. Come on, Sam. Here's to you with the lemonade.
I don't have lemonade, but I got water.
All right, girl, come on. And then proprietary. Let's have some stuff.
Yeah, and one last thing before we get off of here. Shar has a question. She said, "Do you feel like the world needed this timeout?" You talked about that earlier. You talked about that earlier a lot, and also talking about adding on to her question. I have a question. What do you say about the being true to yourself and following your passion and being obedient to the one above? Because there's a lot of people tied to what you're supposed to do.
Okay, so let me make sure. So I'm gonna ask. Let me answer Chardonnay. Chardonnay, you already know, girl. Stop playing. Yes, we needed a timeout because we complained so much about stuff we couldn't do. Man, if I had time, I would write this book. Man, if I had time, I would make this movie. Man, if I had time, I would write, I would write my memoirs. I would, I would put a list of things. Listen, we wasn't resting. We wasn't reflecting. We were just going.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, come on with
it. You told us earlier. You said,
relax, rest, and reflect.
3 R's.
The 3 R's. If we had not taken, God stopped the world so that everybody could eat. That's how I feel. He stopped the world to show us. Listen, I'll say this real quick. I was on I'm in a book club online, of course. And one of the things that I said that was just intriguing to me is that God made sure that even Missouri map testing didn't take place. Now, we lived on map testing for education. Ooh, we got to do the map. Kids was going crazy. Teachers was going crazy. Wasn't no map this year, dog. Wasn't no map this year, and the kids didn't die, and neither did the education system. So if we don't reflect of what this timeout did for us, don't try to restart something that didn't work in the first place. This timeout was so that we could see what works and what don't work, who God is and who he ain't. He is not in that stuff that you keep saying he's in. That's a lie. Stop lying on God. God didn't tell you to do that. That's a lie. That's why you're struggling. That ain't the devil. No, you didn't sit quiet enough in prayer to understand that ain't what God called you to. Be quiet. Okay, what was the last thing you said? I'm sorry.
Purpose, being obedient. We talked about that earlier. I don't want to leave that out. And wrapping this up, you mentioned how we are not, if we're out of that lane, more importantly, staying in our lane first, but if we're not embracing what we know we should be doing, then a lot of other people's destiny is tied to that. Talk about that.
Don't use God as a crutch.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because in times of peril, we all go to God. But he good to go to when it ain't times of peril. Mm-hmm. He is a measuring tool. This is me in purpose. Our purpose is tied up in people. It ain't tied up in nothing else. Do you hear what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Our purpose is not tied up in anything else. We are to serve one another. And if we serve one another, then everybody's purpose gets met. The purpose of feeding, the purpose of shelter, the purpose of educating, everything happens when we see each other greater than ourselves. But that only comes through an understanding of who Christ is. If he, the greatest of us, became the least of us, surely we can do the same. Mm-hmm. And our purpose is tied up in how we see him and how we make ourselves one with him so that we can hear him always. And there are times that he ain't saying nothing. That don't mean move on your own. That means just sit still because he's preparing us for something greater. And if we don't have that understanding of how God has created us to be servants to one another, we'd have missed the whole purpose of him ever coming and dying. We have to die to one another so we can serve one another.
Like Kiona said, time out. It's time out. We done. Tell them how they can reach you.
You can reach me by trailways. I'm sorry. I'm kidding. If you want to holler at me, I'm at MiaRamsey.com. I got my apparel on tonight. Check me out. Check me out. You can reach me. Yeah, man. Listen, don't let somebody else that don't know what you've been through try to quantize your experience. Mm-hmm. Anyway, MiaRamsey.com, and then I'm on Facebook as the deliverer. That's a long story, but Mia Ramsey. Man, I thank everybody. Kiona, thank you so much for having me back. Girl, you didn't have to have a part 2, dog. This was dope. You are dope. Y'all subscribe. Go check out Black Excellence. Girl, this girl, and what's the other founder's name?
Craig Moore.
Craig Moore. That's right. I don't know how I forgot that. When I tell y'all some of the dopest generational, outside of the box thinking folks, listen, Kansas City is blessed to have you.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on. We pride ourselves in being able to bring extraordinary people to this platform. And so we hope, and with me, this is a little extra. As I told you, this was literally pulled out of my butt of like this, hey, let's just do this streaming. And so I think it's just been a perfect way to connect people and bridge that gap while we're quarantining. And it's been a great use of my time. And a lot of people have reached out to me personally and said they've been really blessed by the people that I've had on. And so that's what is drew this inspiration to do this. And so thank you again to everybody that's tuning in tomorrow.
Thank everybody. Thank you.
Tomorrow on Up Next at, I think, 2:00, I will have Father Justin on. He's going to be talking about Thelma's Kitchen right here off of Truth. They've had like a abundance of services that have gone forth. And so I really want to allow him the opportunity to talk about what are the serious needs of our community right now in the midst of everything that's going on. And then we're jumping into Friday morning at 9:45. We'll have Mayor Quentin right here at Black Excellence KC talking about our city, an encouragement word from him, and just some things that he has not forgot about. And so, thank you so much.
Man, love you, girl. We appreciate you.
Good night, everybody.